Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
No, I don't think so. I've had people talk about that before. They've tried to make it work. It only worked in pubs, very specifically, and with very specific playstyles. So I don't think that's going to be coming out here. It's a possibility that you could make work, but I think in this circumstance, with a Rubik, you're probably not going to be seeing that. Boom does go with a Clockwork. That does give them a great way to reach the back, hunt down that Clinks. Gives you good lockdown for the Clinks. He's not innately mobile enough. Of course, gives you a really easy way to trap someone in for that AA Ice Blast. It doesn't do anything for the Void Spirit though, so you absolutely lack control for the Void Spirit with these these picks from Boom, which do look to be shaping into support picks. You can kind of shift the clock to a core role and get something that could give you additional lockdown for the Void Spirit. But the core clock has been mixed in performance. You know, it's not an outright lane winner. We have seen that blow up in a couple of teams' faces already.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
Riki.
Yeah. It's a silence. You're going to get a lot of value from that. The Clinks itself is also not a very tanky hero. Doesn't have natural escape. Morphling struggles when it's silenced up. You would really like to see follow-up from that. I think Clockwork and Riki are going to have to play together a lot. So you get the Cogs, Battery Assault off, throw that smoke screen on top, and it will be a bit of a struggle for the heroes Fnatic has. Ideally, you'd catch more than one, but you will take what you can get with this kind of lineup. In Riki's, though, they do take a fair bit of investment from the team. So Boom Esports will have to look to give enough space to that Riki to get the farm it needs. They're going to have to protect it from that laning phase. It can be a bit rough, depending on the matchup. So that's something for Boom to watch out for. Is vulnerable to being bursted down. Like, can easily burst down the Clinks, but the Clinks can do the same thing to you if you're not careful.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, that's really the key thing for Fnatic. You know, to make this game plan work, the biggest dent in it would be that Riki, if it gets that good start. So you would probably want to lane the Clinks, as you mentioned, up against that Riki. That's your best bet. Although, again, it's been a while since we've seen Clinks that the performance of that could be a bit middling. We'll find out exactly when it comes in. I'm really not too clear on the lane partnerships. Like, Klink's Rubik sounds potent enough, but at
10
the same time, it's also
seconds
kind of lightweight. I guess you could really apply to harass with Fade Bolt. That
5
could be
seconds
something that
remaining.
plays a big factor there. Ricky, again, not much HP. I'm just really keen to see Fnatic's last pick. I mean, as we mentioned, that could be a Klink support. It would be very odd, the last pick your support. So maybe we're being thrown for left field here. A bit of a strange support pick for Fnatic, but
Fnatic's turn
how
to
often
pick.
have they last pick a support? Not too often. I think only once or twice.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, he still brings you a lot here. That is the additional lockdown that Boom Esports would need. So they will have a way to keep that Void Spirit or the Morphling in place. At the very least, they're going to have that tool on top of their Clockwork Ricky combination and the Chains disposed from the Ember Spirit. This does tell us that Boom Esports could be looking to play fast. I think they'll have to. They don't want to give Savage the space. We have seen what Savage can do on his Morphling, just comes online way too fast, is really active on the map. You don't want that possibility there. This is the kind of lineup that Boom Esports look comfy with. You have seen them play all of these heroes once before, and I think as long as they play it to their style, this draft can definitely work out for them. You shut down the Morphling, you shut down that Void Spirit to a certain extent. The main focus has to be Morph, but you get that done and you're in a very good spot. We do see Fnatic last pick the Underlord, and it is going to be a support Lynx, I suppose. I mean, could be support Underlord, but I think you will want him in the lane. So it's going to be the Clinks roaming around, which is actually pretty potent. So it's something I have seen theory crafted a lot in my circles, and they have run it to great effect. You do have a lot of presence with that. We have seen it in a couple of pro games. You do have a lot of presence with that, just the physical damage you can pump out, and the scouting you can get in the jungle is pretty potent. So you have a lot of utility from that. We'll see how far Jabs can push it. He's a fantastic player, of course. I don't doubt that he's going to cause a massive nuisance for the side of Boom. Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be a super hard lane here for Dreamocell. He's going to have to somehow get a lot of space from his support, so we should see Kezcute really try to step it up, or Hyde try to get him some space. I think you will want the Ancient Apparition with Ricky in this case, so you should see at least Kezcute try to cop the damage, try to cop the harass, but it's never going to be an easy time, especially if Jabs around. That's just not going to be a fun lane. But that's going to be the important thing for Boom. They need a Ricky to come online, just like Fnatic needs their Morphling to come online, but Fnatic has a better answer for the laning of that Ricky. So we'll see just how much Boom can push. I do worry for Boom. Like, we've seen those Rickies just fall so far behind in games. They try to get the farm up, they don't flash farm fast enough, and they just kind of get bursted down. So a lot is hanging on off the back of Dreamocell here.
Seconds to battle.
Definitely. there is potency with what Boom has. I think you always will have to keep Hyde and FBZ together. So that's a laning combination that you just cannot go without, especially if you do get the early level in Cogs. You go up, trap someone with Cogs and Battery Assault, you delay the Napalm on, fly over with a Fire. That should be a relatively easy way to get that lane done. We'll see whether or not Hyde is going to walk away, because they might just invest in a tri-lane, although the synergy in this tri-lane isn't the strongest. Cogs does kind of play with the AA quite nicely. The EXP distribution is going to be a bit tighter here. Clock and AA do want to hit 6 fast, so it does look like Boom will stick to that tri-lane for now, and if they do maintain that, Kezcute and Hyde won't get the best times to those level 6. Grabs. Oh!
First will my embers burn. First blood!
Definitely, it's really good blocks coming out from Boom Esports. There, Kezcute just managing to keep jabs in. That's something they can definitely exploit. Like the Clinks is great in damage, can kind of dip in and out, but before like level 2, level 3, he's at a pretty weak point that you can bully hard with these two supports, and that's something that Boom has to maintain, because the moment Jabs sits in lane, throws out those searing arrows, Dream Assault's just going to be taking way too much damage. Oh.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Dead on the dotted line.
Definitely. They are finding a lot of kills to build off of. The Riki is going to enjoy that. They aren't really stopping Savage, so that's a bit of a plus for Fnatic. Jabs is copying all the ganks, but Savage is allowed to kind of just farm up. So it's a bit of a trade-off. I think that's the best you can hope for when you do have a tri-lane. And as long as Savage doesn't overextend, he should be fine. Yeah.
That, my friends, is why metal will never die.
This...
No.
Exactly how you'd want to work this lane out. I think Fnatic should consider maybe switching out the cores, because Savage is just not going to have a good time. They do drag DJ down, so it's going to be a tri-lane on tri-lane, which should match the aggression, but you're going to be leaving a Batrider against the Underlord. It's going to be a farming lane for both sides. I think FBZ is going to be extremely happy with that result. Yeah. Not much. Like, the Atrophy aura is annoying, but Batrider doesn't care for that. He really doesn't. He goes by a lot of amplification from the Napalm and the Fireflies to clear out waves. He can dip into the jungle much faster than the Underlord can. So there is that as well for that top lane. So it's going to be a static farming lane that will... for FBZ.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Jabs. Again.
Stopped you.
They're bleeding out. They're bleeding a lot. Definitely. It needs to try to harass out the enemy laner. It hasn't paid off. Jabs does have level 2. Did opt for Death Pack instead. So he is, he's going to have a lot more HP and damage out. It is a fairly long laning cooldown though. And once you die, you lose the buff. So every single time he pops that spell and then dies with the buff on, well, that's just a lot of dead time in the lane. just maximizing that slow.
A tool to teach.
Extra kill. Jackpot. I think not.
They're not too far behind considering all the kills on the map so far. That's basically down to the fact that the farming rate for both sides are fairly even. You take a look at that last hit for it. The heroes are kind of lined up evenly. The only big outliers, Savage against Dreamocell. That's it. Everyone else pretty much dead even, I'd say, for the most part. So really tied up evenly on the farm despite all those early kills. No, neither side really having a huge advantage there. The key thing is that EXP is being starved out. That's about it. So all these early kills haven't quite amounted to anything serious just yet, although Ice is applying some pressure to FBZ, but that's not going to be enough. Yeah, just trying.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah. And this is why both of us prefer that support clock. They just have so much utility to give in the map. They're not going to be needing to soak that lane EXP, and they don't tend to find great farmed lane if the opposing laners are competent anyway. So Hyde is maximizing this pick for Boom. He has found a lot of kills off the map. He's bounced out those lane matchups. 23 Savage loses his career, so some items flying out are going to be delayed by a minute and a half. Forced to kind of back off, but this lane for Savage is just so hard. We rarely see Savage get a really hard lane like this. He's still finding last hits, but he's playing on the edge and under a lot of pressure. And Boom is probably one of the few teams that can apply that. So as long as they maintain that pressure and ensure that Savage actually starts to fall behind, then you're going to see a really big return on this investment on the bot lane.
Invisibility.
Radiant are scanning.
Oh.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Pretty big for Fnatic. Oh. Still fairly even in terms of net worth. 1k advantage for Boom. Not too unexpected considering how many kills they have. You do want to see a bit of a wider lead there. I think you want to mount that to more. Mikado under a spot of trouble.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Oh yeah. They do rotate FBZ down bot, so they want to try to start burning out Savage. They have tossed the rookie up top. This is going to pit Dreamocell up against Ice. He doesn't enjoy laning against the Underlord as much as the Bat would. This is a bit of a strange mix-up, but I guess they want to lay it onto Savage just a bit more. Oh, lasso onto Savage.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, got a
Use a lane rash there.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Jackpot.
Death's bounty. That should help.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
No.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's still fairly even in that sense. All these kills really haven't stopped the other cores from finding that laning farm. You took a look at Savage, he died 2 times. He's still number 2 in net worth at 3.9k, just about 300 behind Mikado's Ember Spirit. So he's still in a fantastic spot here. You would like to see Boom kind of step it up, like keep targeting the guy. They send out the AA ult, doesn't hit. Savage is going to be perfectly fine to keep shoving that top tier 1, which is fairly low already, so they might even just take it.
My searing James. Regeneration.
I do not fear.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Oh,
Stretched. Drag it on.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
it's a 1-9, yet somehow the network lead isn't wide enough. It just feels like Fnatic, when they know they're going to lose a hero, they just farm up elsewhere. The other cores know that they're going to have a bit of a free time, and Boom has kind of sacrificed some of that laning farm from this aggression. So they are still winning out. Sure, 1-9, 1k advantage is to Boom. You want them to widen that, because as long as it's even, Fnatic's still going to be very comfy. They know they're going to take a little bit more time with 23 Savage. They know that Morphling is going to take a lot more time investment. But if they're not behind, then they're really just not worried. It's their game to take slow.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They're just taking out those objectives, allowing them some leeway to farm up, so it's a bit harder for Boom to really exert control on the map right now. They do still hold on to their tier 1 mid. That's going to be very pivotal for Boom to keep this aggression up. You finally see a smoke coming out from Fnatic as well, so it's their turn to perhaps try hunting something out. It is just Moon and DJ. Be enough on the right target.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I didn't want to be seen like this.
Oh.
The entirety of
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I'm sure Boom is going to be happier with that trade than Fnatic is. They lost their 2 cores. They did find a Riki. That's great. But you lost your Morphling. That's a really the hero you want to save, and that's going to cost you a bit. Just a little bit more fighting around, but Boom does split up to eventually go back to farming. You take a look at Dreamocell, just about to finish up that defusal in a bit, like 1,100 gold away from getting that full item up. Once that's up, he's going to have a lot more damage. The backline, it does feel somewhat lacking when his teammates aren't around. So they're just waiting for that to be up and running. You do see Mikado actually prioritize the Spirit Vessel in this game, so they want to slow down that regen, that durability that Fnatic naturally has. You see Ice is going to be a major factor in contributing to that, so just taking away some of the utility that you're seeing there, taking away some of that durability on Savage, will make it easier to find these targets, and it's already up and running Mikado, so they do look to try to find an early kill.
Rock it on.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
My soul is quenched.
It's not the biggest loss for Fnatic. They should know to pull back now. I mean, Boom is just continuously moving forward. There's no opportunity for them to counterfight just yet from Fnatic. They're just going to have to accept that Boom is going to run them down, find a pickoff. They just need to mitigate their losses here, Fnatic, and focus on ensuring that their cores are finding farm, which they are. Savage is starting to drop off a bit. The gap between him and the Ember Spirit is starting to widen, but it's not to the point where you're kind of worried, although Boom is at a 2k lead, so it's starting to get bigger.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Players here.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Discover
Ah.
what lies beyond.
And they might find Ice as well. And more. Fnatic pouring in one by one for that mid defense, being punished by being out of position. They gave a lot of kills away that they shouldn't have in that case, and that does widen Boom's lead to a good sturdy 3k. This is the point where you can say definitely Boom is ahead. They've managed to find some good towers. They're finding kills. They're going again.
Rattle them yet.
Even the wisest fall.
Double down.
Definitely. Yeah. Like Savage right now. This could be troublesome.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, definitely doesn't. They have to blow a lot of spells to find those kills. That does allow Boom to keep going. Like, they find DJ now. Ice.
Dead in the water.
Radiant Scanning.
Never refuse.
Yeah, that is a bit strange of a movement from Dreamosel, especially as the rest of his team was kind of trying to chase down Ice Ice Ice, who does manage to get the Dark Rift off. The story is quick-chatted, so he knows he kind of screwed up there. Still, Boom is at a 4K lead, although you see Savage, he's pretty much tied up with that Ricky, so he's still finding farm on the Morphling. The rest of his team is getting a bit of a hit in that word, but the key hero here, the Morphling, is finding that farm. You do have to wonder from Boom, are they doing enough to keep that Morphling in check? Do they have enough? They've got that Spirit Vessel. We haven't seen them land the Ice Blast from Kezcute all too often. But it does feel like Savage is still finding a bit too much from having all these kills blow up. I think Fnatic is going to be perfectly happy with these kinds of trades as long as Savage is farming up, and he certainly is. He's 1 to 4, but number 2 in net worth. So all those early kills really hasn't mattered.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
They definitely are. They're just maximizing that long-range initiation they can get, all the control they have on hand.
Radiant's middle tower is under
What?
attack.
Okay. What? 22-minute GG call from Fnatic. They're only 6k behind, but I guess they just want to reset. You know, they gave a bit too much. The aggression from Boom was looking good. They did have an answer to the Morphling in that AA really early Spirit Vessel. I can see the logic from that, but it is a really quick call from Fnatic. BKB on Dreamwhistle, that's going to be their moment to shine, and that's when they really need to aim to apply their own pressures. Buy space for Savage's Troll, shut down Dreamwhistle before the BKB comes out, and start to really apply pressure on the map. That's going to be the key thing for Fnatic. With the Timbersaw, I think that does make this job a little bit easier to do. They will have to watch out for potential team fights from Boom, especially around that Phoenix Egg, if once Kezcute does hit level 6. So that's all of the factors that Fnatic have to kind of keep in mind with this kind of draft.
Well, we'll get into it, John. Game number 2. Fnatic definitely need to pull off this victory. Otherwise, they are going down to the lower bracket. Boom Esports would love to.
Oh yeah,
absolutely love it.
Definitely would. I mean, you don't want to risk it into a game. They had a fantastic start already. Fantastic, very quick game coming out from Boom. Just driving Fnatic to the corner there. They would want to keep up that pace. They're the ones in high spirits. They're the ones with momentum under their belt. They'd want to keep that going. And Fnatic is on a bit of a back foot. You know, they've got a better draft than game 1 for sure. They're not like picking up Morphling into the AA. They have a lot more options here. I think giving Ice his Timbersaw is going to allow him to really shine. Like he plays a pretty solid Underlord, but ever since we've been casting them like for the past year or 2 years, every time we see a team pick Ice, the Underlord, it just doesn't feel like it's the kind of hero he enjoys. It's not trolly enough.
Right.
He's really like...
At least
30 seconds to battle.
He's dead.
Yeah, just resets under the tower and immediate disconnect for the lag.
Every time you die like that, you've got to disconnect. Got to just there's a bit of lag going. A bit unfortunate of a pause time as well, because you've got Kezcute kind of rotating here onto Ice up at the top lane with Dreamwhistle. Not like they're really going to kill him off, but you'd love to get as much damage out as possible. And Ice should preemptively just run. He already is anyway, but never know what could happen if we didn't have to go through this pause.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a pause. You do tend to see a bit more in Southeast Asia, but the internet has been good for the most part for the past few days on the series. So, you know, this is well, not too unfortunate. Yeah, you already lost Kezcute and you already lost your Pango, so not the biggest deal. Gonna be dancing around those runes afterwards. It's a bit of a wait, you know. Patience must be tested every now and again. Southeast Asia teaches you to be a patient person.
Oh, if BZ gives the go-ahead, we'll just wait on Fnatic. They're going to chase him down, but they're not really going to get too much out of it. They'll just force Ice back towards that mid lane a little bit. Not too big of a deal. He's going to try and come back up, see if he can take the Baron away from Kezcute. But, well, now with DJ there, Kezcute could be in trouble. Yeah, they'll be able to secure. Looks like a 2-for-2 trade. They do get the other one down at the bot lane for Boom. In terms of lanes, FBZ, of course, is going to be in the off lane as that Pango, and he'll have the support of Hyde on the Shadow Demon. They'll be up against Japs on the Oracle, and we do also have 23 Savage there on the Troll Warlord. You'd make the argument this should be an easier lane for Savage.
It should be easier. It really hangs on the fact of how far can you really push that swashbuckle. You get those lucky shots off, you are going to be slowing the farm down of that Troll, and DJ is copping so much in exchange from Kezcute.
That's the problem with the Phoenix, right? Like, you're a tiny with a crazy slow attack speed already, and then Fire Spirits make it so much slower. The DJ, he'll survive. You need Fire Spirits to really finish this job off, or maybe not Dreamwhistle. Wasn't in range for the dagger, couldn't slow him down, and that'll be the end of that. But DJ doesn't have any regen, so he may have to just go back all the way to the fountain, but Kesku's continuing to chase. He wants the kill. Fire Spirit's up in 2, but it's not going to be quick enough, and he does get a salve from his courier. Kesku would have loved to get the cancel off on that, but he won't try with the spirits.
Yeah, that pull does cost him a bit. A few of the creeps weren't really killed off with any hero around, so they do miss out on a bit of EXP. I'm not sure if Boom's really going to be upset about that.
I don't think the Phoenix will. Dream Missile, he's been going perfectly fine. Kesku, I mean, sure, it's a Phoenix, you want the XP as best you can, but at the very least with this hero, you do have that catch-up potential with Fire Spirits. Like, you can just rotate through a jungle and clear the camps up fairly easily. DJ's going to be as disruptive as possible, but he doesn't really block the stack. Doesn't really mind too much. I'm sure he just wants to make sure there's no pull going on here from Kesku.
Yeah, it does take a while for Ice to start applying that pressure on the Timbersaw. That's something we see with this hero. You do need maybe level 3, level 4 to start being a complete menace. Doesn't quite have all the tools he needs to really just stand there.
Well, you can do that. Dream Missile blinks away, but he's so close. Ice has Whirling Death and gets the kill. With a hero like Tiny, when you have an avalanche toss, you get one Whirling Death off, and those stats, they really matter.
Definitely. It looked a bit weird from Boom. They went in to play aggressive as well, while not knowing where DJ was, but they knew he was in that side of the jungle.
Well, now Hyde goes down to the bot lane. So they also end up finding the Shadow Demon. It's going to be a 3-0 already for Fnatic. 1k net worth lead. And it's almost like a mirror match of what we saw last game. They are not willing to give that early game advantage away to a team like Boom Esports, who can really capitalize off that. And this looks more like the old Fnatic already.
Definitely. It's a much better showing in the initial starter of this match. They do have a bit of a lead. I wouldn't say this is significant just yet. I think the last hits on the board are fairly evenly matched up. The biggest difference is Dream Cells' performance up against Savage. Savage is definitely having a much freer lane. And this is going to allow him to hit a better timing on his itemization. We saw him kind of struggle on the Morphling last time. This time on the Troll. Really not feeling that pressure as much. He has great sustain from jabs. And Boom has just not been able to really lay it onto him as they did in Game 1. FBZ and Hyde just kind of focusing on finding their own farm.
Haste.
Everything going very well for Fnatic. In fact, top 3 last hits right now on the board are all Fnatic. They are just essentially for now winning every single lane. Ice unwilling to back off here for those neutral creeps, and he doesn't really need to. Like, you've got Fire Spirits on Kesku, but they're only level 2, and while the damage is nice, it's not that high.
It's you have lost the point where you can bully the Timbersaw out. At level 4, he's just going to be able to stand his ground, trade whatever he wants, start to find his own farm, and that can give DJ a little bit more space to just start stacking up the jungle or get a rotation down, although there hasn't really been a big need to. Like that mid lane matchup of Mikado up against Moon. Moon has certainly just drawn away. Just a lot more sustain and damage to fly out from him.
Bot lane, jump there onto jabs. This should be a kill, although nice fortunes end up to 3, but it will not matter. They did pick up their first kill of the game on the position 5 Oracle. Did end up costing them at least a rotation there from Mikado. Looks like Mikado is struggling in that mid lane, by the way. Like, Moon's already hit 6 when Mikado is still sitting at 5. It's just hard, right? Because he can't actually get close to creeps to CS with that Spirit Siphon. He's just constantly back.
It's not a favorable lane for the Void Spirit. Moon has gotten a lot more. Doesn't quite invest in this Exorcism just yet, trying to see whether or not he can get a tower push going, or if he should just go greedy to try to clear out these creeps. And it doesn't matter either way. Mikado just does not have the presence you'd want the Void Spirit to have. He's forced to really start walking around. You do see, Moon just really take over this lane without too much rotations as well.
Dream itself. TPing back towards his top tier 2 tower. It's looking very rough for this PA. It looks like he may try and just go to the jungle for a bit. Not exactly what you want as a level 5 PA. In fact, he's moving mid.
Dire's top tower.
And they're going to try after Moon. Makoto has hit 6 they could, but Hyde also rotates in, but where's the disruption? He's not in range, and that rotation completely wasted.
Top tower is under attack. Dire's
That's a strange movement from Boom. You would understand the Shadow Demon walking down, but Dreamocell, it's a bit early. He doesn't even have his level 6 to really find those kills. A really aggressive movement from Boom to try to find something. They might at least find Moon in the end. They are cool.
They should. He does get Spirit Siphon onto Makoto. We'll throw another one onto Dreamocell. He's just getting up through it. Now the rotation's coming from Jabs. Fortune's End will lock in the Phoenix, but Moon, he wants to turn around and go for somebody else. He doesn't get anyone, but at the same time, Boom cannot kill this death problem.
They definitely can't. They've got a good amount of levels onto Moon. Does have that Spirit Siphon finally maxed out. Again, just kind of confused as to why Dreamocell had to do that. Like, the lane against the Timbersaw is not easy, sure. But you'd expect to at least farm the jungle instead of being pressured to do this rotation. And this is really going to impact that progression for the PA. Already a bit of a slow start for Dreamocell. Going to get even slower. 2.2k net worth so far, in big contrast to Savage at 3.4.
Busy, struggling at the bot lane as the Pango is forced to back off towards his tier 1. And, speaking of the Pangolier, that is some really, really unfortunate farm for him. 1.8k net worth on FBZ right now. And it's not very rare you see FBZ that low in terms of gold.
Definitely. It tends to at least draw even on his offlane, but this time around it's just been way too much. I think the sustain that Jabs have been giving on that Oracle and the damage he's been pumping out, it's just been a bit too much for that duo. So it is a much slower start for Boom. They're going to have to try to secure themselves some jungle farm, especially for Dreamocell. I don't think he's going to be able to hold a lane unless you do throw supports to help him out. It's not an easy task for a PA.
This is just getting from bad to worse. Savage now, he's going to rotate up top. They could theoretically set up a tier 2 push already, and Ice, he's just checking the back lines, making sure nobody's around. Savage at level 7 wants to start forcing in the tier 2 top. This is without the DP there. They just feel that confident that they can do it. And while they're doing that, Moon could always just force in the tier 1 mid. Like, you can't defend both.
Definitely can't. And Boom is kind of stretched thin. We're not seeing them go into that team fight mode yet because Kezcute still has to hit level 6. And even FBZ still right at the precipice of getting that next level, but not quite there. Moon does pop the extra 7 to go for that tier 1 now.
Well, he'll get the 6 on the Pango now, but I don't know if you can fight into this. Ice frontlining at level 8.
Radiant's
FBZ thinking about it, but does cancel. Kezcute is still level 4 on the Phoenix. So chances are he can't do anything either. They don't want to sack the lane. They want to try and defend as best they can. I just don't think there's a choice here. They have to leave. Instead, they will go ahead and chase DJ down. It's the only kill they can probably afford to take, and they will be able to pick it up high on the Shadow Demon, the one to take it for himself. But the mid-tier 1 is gone.
I'd say Fnatic definitely happy with that trade. They trade away a support for the mid-tier 1, so much more control onto the map. This does allow them to basically take complete control of that top jungle. And boom, they find that trade, but they're 3k behind, they're losing map control. Their PA still needs to start working on the Desolator, just finished power treads, and you need to somehow give Kezcute EXP.
It's rough. We have about 10 minute mark, just to 2.
tower is under attack.
It's flying out. perhaps onto KSQ now.
Are fortified.
Oh, I say Science top lane. Diving a tier 3 tower, gets hide on the Shadow Demon, now thinks about going after FBZ. There's just nobody that can kill him. He's just having a free game on this Timbersaw.
Dire's top tower is under.
They are still thinking about pushing that top tier 2.
I mean, they can constantly just apply pressure there and force the rotations from Boom. That's already enough damage to the economy of Boom, because they can't just go to the side lanes where it's free to farm up. They need to keep a constant eye on this top lane for Ice shoving it out. I mean, the Timber itself isn't going to get that push done, but the creeps will slowly whittle away at it, and that does deserve a response. So Boom is just forced to play into Fnatic's game plan every single time this time around in Game 2.
Now, with the A getting caught out, Dreamersaur really has no way out of this, I don't think. No TP's coming in, he is going to die. And top lane, well, they're going after Ice, but can they actually take him out? He's so tanky. They try, he just turns now with Whirling Death. This could be dangerous to keep going after this. When Ice, he walks away.
Just no damage. They just don't have the damage on their heroes right now to melt that tanky Timbersaw. And Ice doesn't even have any tank items on him yet. No Hood of Defiance, no Vanguard up. He's just a Timbersaw. And Boom is just so far behind that they have no solution. Even Mikado's damage is lacking for that tanky hero. That's definitely not the target they can clear out now.
Mikado. Trying to get Savage, but Savage is just giving it to him every time he makes a mistake, and the mental warfare has begun between these two. As KSQ going to get run into now. He is just about to hit 6 as well. Just needs one tick of XP, he will not get it. And Hyde, he'll be able to run away, but I mean, this could be another very early GG call the way this is going.
Dire's tower is under attack.
It does feel that way.
They're going to try and mid onto Moon, but no.
They just can't. Like, they're waiting for Dreamocell to farm up in that PA. You look at that net worth bar graph. He's just so far behind. It's not funny. You know, they're just really far behind him. Looks like what they did in Game 1, Fnatic is doing to them in Game 2. And there's just no response. Boom has just kind of has to take it, lose their entire map. They lost their tier 2 up top. They're losing control in that jungle. And Fnatic is just doing all of this while Savage is just farming up. So he's going to have an SNY relatively quickly. He's going to work straight into that MKB to deal with a PA. They are scanned out in the Roche. So Boom knows it's happening.
What are they going to do about it?
They could contest. I mean, they have these Supernova, so they could try, but that's not going to be a very slow Roche. It's going to be a very fast Roche.
Yeah, they're going to hurry. They've got Roll Thunder, Supernova. They've got to get in there now. Roche on third HP left. They jump in. They have found the Oracle. They can burst him down. It would be great, but they can't. Fate's eating full safe for now. The Roll Thunder is bouncing with FBZ. They do finally kill the Oracle, so maybe now you could take this team fight, but FBZ dies on the Penguin. Still, they do jump forward with the Void Spirit. Makoto, he does die. Supernova did nothing.
Dreamocell. Oh.
And, alright, Dreamocell apparently got the troll. I imagine that was a bad crit coming out. And with that, boom, you'd call that a successful team fight. Did you get another disruption off onto Ice? Hyde, probably going to go down. Ice, he's not done yet. He wants more. Although he has run out of mana. He may have overextended the Sun Ray. Going to start burning him down, but it actually does 0 damage. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, they do stop the Roche. They did find 2 targets there from Boom. They did have to trade a couple of heroes. You did get a kill in Dreamocell, so it does help your PA. That's the biggest target you really have to kind of put on life support now. We'll try to pump up And as soon as Dreamocell finishes up that Desolator, at the very least, you can really start to go for these kills. You're at the point where the right clicks from the Troll are going to be a bit inconsistent, although it's only a level 1 blur on Dreamocell. So there are still vulnerabilities there.
Moon, he fell low, but the Fate's Edict coming out from jabs will block out a lot of the magic damage that was coming. Still Boom, showing signs of life. They've almost got the Desolator up on Dreamocell. So there's that, but he's definitely going to need something like a BKB straight after. You look at DJ on the Tiny John, he's got a Blink Dagger coming out on the Courier, and that becomes a very problematic situation for Boom, as now you have so many ways of initiating to the side of Fnatic. And they may go back into Roshan a bit soon.
At the very least, Boom does have the Supernova ready in case that fight does break out. They've got a ward watching that entrance. So they're much more aware.
Still very, very confident with Ice's movement, but they just can't deal any damage to the guy. And they will go for Roshan again. Excellent.
He bought that movement out.
Well, they know, but it's a matter of can they do that team fight again. Ice, he's on the cliff waiting. They know they're coming. He's scouting out the team and a nice chart from at the staircase. The Roshan is super low. They have vision of the HP, but how do you break that gap? You do not. It goes down to Savage, and now Avalanche set up from DJ. Hyde is falling very, very low on that Shadow Demon and should drop as Ice. In fact, it will be Moon who picks it up. They do commit the Supernova now. With the Long Thunder, they could hold them down, but it looks like it will do nothing anyway. Like, Supernova Stun is great, but if you don't have the follow-up damage, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it definitely doesn't. And Fnatic does finally take that Rosh. They do get the Aegis. They're still not quite done. Boom is still trying to posture around, but it's just lag. Right? They found those 2 kills early on. This time around, Ice broke the smoke way too early, couldn't reach into the pit, and that's where their kit really shines. That's where the Supernova really does its work. And outside of that area, they just can't. So they gave up the egg. They're going to have to give up this objective as well, it looks like.
Now Savage gonna clean up that mid lane and roll high. Sticking around way too long. Fnatic just cleaned him up. And, I wouldn't even blame them for trying to go high ground now. Like, they've got the Aegis, they're just so much stronger. With an 8k net worth advantage, they go down bottom instead. When they're going to chase after the Void Spirit of Makoto, he will actually step away. He'll be fine. Just trying to find any kind of trade for themselves. But there's just nothing.
They're just trying to spread themselves across a map where they have no control. Fnatic can just clump up and kind of punish. They've got Keski to help Makoto.
Makoto going to get chased down now. Savage, can you get him and snare off? Not quite, but he is going to continue the chase. There's now 8 to will connect Makoto. Astral steps to the right into the trees, and Keski will immediately TP away on the Phoenix. They are buying time for their PA. That's the one positive here. Dreamocell does now have the Desolator up. And I think once you do have the BKB up on the PA, that's when you kind of have some sort of potential to take a fight.
Definitely. What the Boom is waiting out for, they still have a lot more to buy. Like, they're going to have to buy a lot more time out for Dreamocell. But he can at least burst the backline, or at least the Oracle much faster. Jab is going to be much less of a target to deal with your PA at this point. Of course, the disarm is still a constant threat. As long as someone else takes it first, you're going to be fine. So they have a way of taking away that durability that Fnatic has. That's not going to stop Fnatic from the pushes right now, though.
No, definitely not. They'll get a T2 bot tower. Do you feel like going high ground, Fnatic? It looks like the answer is yes. They have Exorcism, they have an Aegis. Savage says, let's go.
Dire structures are fortified.
Going for a very, very difficult defense. If they manage to be amazing as FBZ getting jumped, he'll be fine. Savage, half HP down. Still safe with that Aegis of the Immortal. FBZ so this is a dangerous team fight, but they do actually end up getting it. Now the Phoenix has dived way too far, however. Kesku needs to commit the edge, but he is surrounded. And that swashbuckle just was not there in time. And FBZ now still being chased as DJ will have an avalanche very soon. Oh, he should have jumped off the cliff. He gets thrown back the other way. I guess there was no way out anyway. And now Fnatic, a 5v3 situation. And we'll go after that bottom racks once again.
It's going to be a really easy push, even with the respawn from our Phoenix. They don't have the egg. Well, Boom has in a big team fight, the egg and the Rolling Thunder. And this is just going to be a free set of racks.
It certainly will be.
Radiant's top tower is under
First racks of the game going down, 11k net worth lead now for Fnatic, and it's just growing at a very steady rate. Make matters worse for Boom. There's a double damage that gets scouted out now, so Savage will have himself a very nice DD. Won't be able to use it in a fight anyway, but it's always nice for the Lux on your side.
Oh yeah, just so much more going the way of Fnatic right now. All the things lining up really, and
Let's smoke up. Good. They seem to maybe believe they could find an opening. You are now fighting into the BKB of 23 Savage. And he still has that DD active for another 15 seconds, so that could be a very dangerous premise. ISSI definitely not the target they want. That's the worst one they could possibly go for. Easy, jumps in, misses the swashbuckle, needs to roll Thunder away. No, instead, they're going to go off the Jazz, but he got the ball callers off in time, and now the team fight starts at BZ. Trying to control up the Troll and DJ on the Tiny. Looks like Jazz does eventually die to Green himself, but now Savage, he'll go after Hyde on that Shadow Demon. Meanwhile, the PA, who are we jumping on? They do find DJ on the Tiny, but Moon trying to fight back against Greenville, trying to man fight, but he has no HP left, and he does end up dying. And Fnatic now may feel confident enough to just move high ground again.
yeah, they've got the exorcism off. This should really help them out with the tower push. They catch Mikado out as well.
Yeah, this is really bad. No buybacks available on the Dakota. Savage gonna go after Hyde. I believe Hyde just fought back on the Shadow Demon and he's gonna die again, and then indeed it was a dieback. 24 minutes in, we might see GG call. Honestly, like I don't think there's much of a chance left for Boom here.
Dire's top barracks have fallen.
You're kind of surprising they went for that smoke attack, considering you still didn't have the BKB on the PA.
I think they're just kind of desperate. Yeah, they've got no way to really farm up. They don't have space in the map anymore. They were trying out a Hail Mary there. It doesn't work out.
Well, they try again at BZ, moving forward. Toss is going to be there from DJ. He needs to throw the Roll Thunder out. There's going to be a supernova, but they're already basically mega. It's just one range creep away. They're going to try and fight anyway, though. Eyesight size, he's pretty low, and maybe with the Sunray they can burst him down, though. No, they definitely can't. Boom will keep moving forward regardless. It's eyesight size again that's the target, but he just turns, and Kesku is almost in. In fact, Crypt Swarm won't be enough, but they do get it with the right click from Moon. And FBZ forced it back. There is still range barracks, but Fnatic look like they're not going to back off until that is gone, and I cannot blame them. Disarm from FBZ. Dakota gets used up, and that'll be the mega creeps now. They'll still try and go for the team fight Savage. Pops the BKB and Battle Trance. He wants to try and find somebody out of this, and it looks like FBZ will happily get caught on the Pangolier. And there's the GG call coming up.
Yeah, fast game this time around from Fnatic. They fix up the issues they had with their Game 1 draft. Boom does go a bit too slow with the way they drafted this one. The PA pick really doesn't work out for them here, unfortunately. And Fnatic, what Boom did to Fnatic
Fnatic's turn to ban.
I think that could give Boom the kind of aggression that they want to pump out.
Their side of things,
5
Fnatic
seconds Fnatic's turn to
get rid of the TA. So they're really just focusing on Makoto, right? We saw the Ember ban, we saw the TA ban. Now they just don't want to have to play against these signature picks that Makoto does thrive off.
Dire
With
team.
his third pick, back to the Tiny. I mean,
I don't blame Fnatic. It's solid, right? Like we saw great performance from DJ. He had all the control, so why not dip back into it?
Fnatic's
it's
turn.
literally the exact same draft for Fnatic right now. And then go back to the Phoenix. Okay, so same support lineup. I can't say I like this. This does not look good.
It has a lot of weaknesses. I think the setup for the Phoenix and the Mars is much better, so the combination coming out from these two heroes are stronger overall, but you are still seeing that same weakness with a support duo, right? Like you're still going to be facing off against the Oracle
5
Troll.
seconds remaining.
You are depending on the Mars to really kick it into gear in that off lane in this case. I would still like to see the Mars Shadow Demon come out instead of the Mars Phoenix.
Right.
So they should have that Shadow Demon go to the bot lane there, help FBZ out. And they really need to keep a lid on Savage. Like, if he gets a free lane, you are asking for trouble. You know, you should know how Savage performs under ideal conditions.
The funniest part was about that, John. I didn't even see what Savage was doing last game. Like he was farming the whole time, got an Aegis, pushed high ground. I don't think he even fought. He just hit towers. Like he didn't even get to that point where he had to fight anybody. I think I saw him pop Battle Trance once, and even then it didn't feel necessary. I don't know, Boom must have some kind of game plan. They're literally going up against the exact same draft that, so far anyway, that Fnatic performed with last game. Let's see, the DP not available this time, so Fnatic will have to switch it, but they go into the Ice Timber. I don't know. How do you let this happen?
It was right there in the draft. You know, they saw it happening. Fnatic goes for the exact same thing. Phoenix Shadow Demon still doesn't do anything to this combination, even with the Mars. You do have a way of stopping him from zipping. You had that in the last game anyway. I think Ice is going to be very happy here. He's going to still have the ability to go in and out quite fine. Boom has to shake up their last few picks. If they actually go back to the PA, then I think they should just call it for minute 0. If they go back into the same draft as well, it was mostly down to draft. Like game 2 was also down. I mean, Fnatic played excellently, but the draft of Boom made it much easier for them to find stuff to exploit. And Mars is not fixing any of those holds yet, so they have to bring better stuff out here, much stronger heroes. You know, something to consider as well for a pickup for Boom would maybe be the Puck in conjunction with the Mars Phoenix. I think that gives you a pretty good team fight. Some way of keeping that Timber Saw in place. At the very least, you're going to have a solid silence to rely on, so you have control for Ice as well. They go
Okay. This seems better, right? Like, you've got this crazy magic burst. The OD's been in a rather weak position in this meta right now. Like, we haven't seen it coming out at all. But against the Troll, against the Timber, you know, you astral the Troll through Battle Trance. The Timber hates going going up against the OD, the Arcane Orbs, and the Sanity's Eclipse does not feel nice for the Timber
5
Sword.
seconds remaining.
And of course the Astral is also very, very annoying for Timber. Mid-chain, just stop it from chaining away. I like it a bit better, but it is out of meta for a reason, right? Like it's not a very strong hero right now. Received a slight buff in 7.26a. And when I say slight, I mean slight. It was like a 1% increase on Arcane Orb damage, if I remember correctly. So,
Dire team ban.
do you think that's enough? Like, is that the pick?
It's a better pick than they had last time. I think the holes and the issues with the OD are still going to make it a tough game for Boom. Having to play around their teamfight potential here with the Arena, with the Egg, with the Santis Eclipse. I think that's going to be the key timings for Boom. Just start running at people once you hit 6. You have to give Kezcute an opportunity to hit level 6 at an early time as well. It took him so long to get the first Egg out.
5 seconds
Up
remaining.
earlier, you want that up and running as fast as possible to take these fights for Boom. Otherwise, there is value in the OD in this pick. You do tend to see it against Troll, against Timber. It's just, you know, it's out of meta, as you mentioned. It's out of meta for a reason. I would have still personally preferred a Puck pickup in comparison to this. You just get a lot of value here because there's really not the best stuns from Fnatic that you can abuse as Puck. But the OD is theoretically going to pump out the damage. It can be a bit of a slow starter, so Boom still has to pick up their pace. They go with the Monkey King instead for their last pick, so you have all the synergy in teamfight. So it does kind of shape up in the end, right? You've got the Wukong's command, the Arena coming out, the Egg. Fairly solid teamfight for Boom.
I like this a lot better. Once I saw the Monkey King come out, it all makes sense now. It looks much
10 seconds
more effective. I want to say effective. I don't know if it is going to be effective up against a team like Fnatic.
remaining.
I'm sure they know very well how to play up against these kind of lineups. But it does look better. Definitely a lot more synergy. Timber does not enjoy going into the Monkey King. It is not a nice matchup. You got the OD to deal with Ice's Timber. There's a Storm Spirit, however, and there is zero control for that Storm. Like, Moon should have an absolutely free game.
Definitely. There's just no lockdown here. Like, I guess you have the Astral Imprisonment into Spear, or Disruption into Spear. That's really it. And that's going to be a massive issue for Boom. We've seen what happens when the Storm, the Ember, the Void Spirit have these kinds of matchups with no control. They have free reign. So Moon is going to have a good time. The laning phase is where he's going to have to maybe be a bit cautious. I don't think it's going to be a massive issue for it does look like he'll be laning against the Monkey King in this case. I still don't think that's... he's going to be laning against the OD. That should be fine for a Storm, you know, not a massive worry.
10 seconds.
It's really down to Boom to bring the aggression, to get their level 6
5
fast,
seconds remaining.
and shut down the map. Not going to make that easy, though. With this draft, it is looking pretty darn good for them.
Really is. Of course, Boom Esports did see this draft, basically the same draft. The only difference is the Storm in the last game. So they should understand what's coming. I think they've already kind of figured out that the main person they need to deal with is Ice on this Timber Sword. That was the big problem last game. You still didn't see much from Savage, but that's because he was just farming, because he's a position 1 player. That's what he does. He farms. So they're going to deal with Ice. You've got problems there with Moon. Of course, he does have the Storm Spirit. It's a free Storm game as far as Storms go. So it's not like you've won this game just based on the slight differences you've made from Boom. But I think we could all agree they have maybe a bit more of a better chance. But I must argue, John, like in terms of this draft, it's more reactive in my opinion than proactive. Like maybe with the Monkey King, you could argue they do get a bit more aggressive. But it does seem like Boom Esports intends to react to what Fnatic throws at them.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think even by how they drafted this, it's all still targeting Boom playing into their own game. About it, right? When you're facing a team like Fnatic, a team on this tier, you want to play your own game. You don't play into their hands. You don't want to play into what they expect. And this is definitely something that Fnatic is expecting. These kinds of counter picks coming out from Boom. they've really got to find a way to pump that aggression out. It looks scarily like a repeat of game 2 if they lose ground immediately. Like, say Ice 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 gets the same kind of start he does in his lane, I think anything's going to change from game 2. So Boom should be bringing it to Fnatic a lot better, but I mean, it's a better draft than game 2. Both of us agree on that for Boom, but it still doesn't quite bring, you know, the fullest sense of confidence in what Boom has.
That it does not, sir. That it does not. But only time will tell. We can't doubt them too much. Fnatic definitely aren't doing that in their third game. No doubting here. Full attention is Savage. Make it spotted, but no, Hyde will take a tier 1 tower hit. And Kescu looks like he will impact its FBZ that needs a reconnection. Of course, Savage is going to be well aware that there are multiple heroes down this bot lane, and he won't bother trying to go after that bounty rune. And by the way, Boomer plays some very deep wards already. You've got one on the left side of the Radiant jungle. You've got one which is a bit more standard on the right side. But that really deep ward on the left, it's just before the game even starts. That's a new one. Like, you don't usually see it this early on.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. I think the moments you do see that is to allow yourself to get a lot more of a successful pull if you're going to be stacking that wave, or if you want to go for sniping the couriers. You can see them walking down that bot lane during daytime, so that's something that Boom could be looking for. Just, again, a bit more of a active game for them, trying to shut down these resources off the map. For Fnatic, certainly, I mean, that vision will certainly help if that is their game plan here.
That it will. DJ on the tiny, just going brown boots to clarities. That's a new one as well. You don't generally have a set of tangos, but DJ breaking the mold a little bit. Savage riding out low on the map. Thank you for that, Savage. I imagine that's what he was doing in game number 2, just laughing quite a lot. He really didn't need to do anything in that game.
Yeah, just free farm. Free farm, push a tower, farm again. No.
That's enough, Savage. No more. They really didn't give much region over to FBZ. He actually opted to have 2 shared tangos on the Mars as well, so going for that bucklet quelling blade, which I suppose is somewhat standard. You can always bring a set of tangos out straight after the bounties.
Yeah, this should give him a little bit more presence in trading early on. Should allow him to secure a couple of last hits as well. I don't blame him for this. It is, that's pretty well drawn out.
Yeah. DJ drawing, what is that, like a chicken or something?
Yeah, looked like a chicken or a bird.
God. I mean, I'm guessing they're talking about Moon, but Dakota, you never know.
Oh, joint drawing?
Oh, joint? No, this is tough. This is really where the skills come in, and they failed miserably. What is that?
That's the spirit.
Fnatic.
Oh, the Savage. That's not how you draw a circle, sir.
It looks like a happy face.
Yeah, but it's a weak circle, John. I guess that's a ghost from Pac-Man or something. Yeah. If you don't finish the drawing in time, it doesn't really count, does it?
No. It has to be while the lines aren't fading. So you are seeing a lot more success from DJ. Really getting his lines in order. Dreaming bouts, no, we don't get that here.
Snowman for DJ. Hey, none of that, Mr. Savage. Aren't you too young to know those words?
definitely.
That's enough. How dare you?
Can't stop the beast.
Hi, Twitch. I believe he was trying to say, hello, DJ. Nice to see you, sir. Apparently Savage didn't learn how to draw triangles in school, John. Mr. Savage needs to get re-educated in his shapes.
Oh, that's a really nice spiral, though.
You see, DJ knows what he's doing. No, Savage, get out of it. Don't ruin the drawing. Oh, now he tries to cover it up by drawing a cheap star.
There you go.
Uh-oh. This one always scares me, John, when they start like that.
It's just a tree. Just a number tree. Showing us something that Valve can't count up to. And we do go back in.
Thank you for that, John.
The battle begins.
So game will start, 2 bannerings for each side, so a nice little even start. We are going to have Hyde back on that pulse 4 Shadow Demon. He's going to be there with FBZ, so you do have the disruption into the spear setup if that's what you want to go for in this laning stage. So there's always going to be that threatening presence there for Savage, and he'll have to be a little bit more careful about how far he extends in the lane. And I thought for a second Boom may try to run a tri-lane, but that is not going to be the case. We will see the rotation up from the Phoenix towards that top lane. And for some reason, our Monkey King is still running his way to the wave and actually misses out on one of the creeps. In fact, he used the courier for some reason.
It's a very cuddly form. Is missing out on a couple of last hits, as you mentioned, but Michelle should get started fairly soon. Going to be interesting to see this lane unfold. You have Kezcute up here again. You've got Jabs and Ice up here again. The real only change is Dream Assault's hero. Whether or not he can leverage his right clicks onto the Timbersaw early on while he can is going to be the real question here. Like, Ice hits 4. Of course, this lane just basically becomes really good for the Timbersaw once more. It's not enough damage there to really force him out.
Yeah, you need to capitalize off the Jingu mastery straight away, but he hasn't skilled up anything. So Dream Assault just he goes for the Boundless, so he wants to just ensure he secures CS instead. It may defeat the purpose of the Monkey King versus Timber matchup in the first place if you don't have Jingu mastery, but he can always get a level 2, and now he does have it. But Ice doesn't care. He just runs forward. Dream Assault copying way too much damage. He might go down. Fortune's End to fly out. He does not get the Mischief dodge off. Jabs, though, has gone too far. He wanted to get those Purifying Flames. Still, Fairy Fire is going to be popped. And now the Phoenix Kezcute. He dove. And it does cost him.
That's a nice pickup for Jabs. Kezcute went for a risky play, trying to find that kill. In the end, does get sent home. Those are some pretty long cooldowns on his spells as well. So even if he gets back in his lane, he's not going to have too much of a presence. He's going to have to sit out and wait for a bit. And Jabs is going to be pretty darn happy with how they've already found that kill.
Yeah, that was the unfortunate part about the Phoenix changes, like the added cooldown to Fire Spirits really doesn't make you feel very good in the laning stage. It's a bit slower of a process for Kezcute now. You have to try and use them as efficiently as possible. Jabs just doesn't care because Kezcute just keeps handing it to him. Meanwhile, bot lane Savage is going to fall very, very low. FBZ, he did have it set up there with the speed, but Savage is going to be fine, and FBZ is starting to fall low. But he will be okay. That's what we kind of talked about. Disruption into speed can be very, very painful for this troll.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward combination that can come out, and you already have great presence with Amoris, especially in comparison to the Pangolier last time, just from the sheer durability that FBC has. Ooh, nice spear onto the tower.
Yeah, but Rolling Axes come out, DJ has an avalanche, and toss back into the T1. FBC should just die though. Nice disruption high. It will not really save him though, surely. It does not. Overextend too much.
That's a bit of a dive from FBZ. His Shadow Demon was not quite there. He was trying to go for the creeps instead, and that does cost him in the end. Savage living with just a bit of HP, that's gonna be enough. As long as he gets to stay in lane, he's fine. Might a bit of a precarious situation alone there, but overall fine. You have the Mars slowly going back in.
That's the beauty of the range form with the Troll. Meanwhile, you look back at top. Ice is just again fearless on this Timbersaw. He just keeps running forward at this Monkey King, and this matchup is not really suiting Dream Missile whatsoever. He is not enjoying this lane. You look at Ice, he's about to hit level 4. Dream Missile has already hit 4, to be fair, but Ice is kind of having a repeat game of number 1, except the opposing POS 1 is getting a bit more farm this time. Never mind that though, Savage is in trouble bot lane. FBZ almost finds the kill, but Savage will survive barely, and now DJ comes in after Hyde with some decent body blocks, but there's going to be no follow-up to it. Still, DJ is running forward after the bounty runes down, but disruption is going to come out from Hyde, who is spamming shadow poisons, and DJ may actually go down if he cops one more. He does, and it will be enough. Hyde does take him out. Savage tries to find the trade, but FBZ will be there to protect.
He trades his life away for the bounty rune. I don't think DJ's actually going to be too upset about that. They do get a little bit more gold from him picking up that bounty, so in the end his team does get a nice little injection. You do waste some time from the Shadow Demon, waste some of his mana. Hyde will go back to base to reset. Does have the TP to go back in fully refreshed, but you are giving a lot more time to Savage to just really find some farm. Like, FBZ is big, tanky, and strong. Without the setup from the Shadow Demon, it's not too scary of a lane.
When you look at Moon on that Storm run, he's been forced to back off towards his own fountain, which is not the greatest of news for him on the Storm, but in terms of laning stage, he has had a pretty great time. Makoto just managing to now catch up on the OD because there wasn't that Storm there any longer. But top lane, I can't say the same for Dream Missile, who's currently getting dived by Ice. There's no level 6 on the Timber, but he can certainly burst him down with one more whirling death. Dream Missile still trying to run his DJ, moving forward, but the chains is just perfect from Ice. So bot, Savage getting chased. Fortune's End will purge off all the shadow poison stacks, and it will remain a 3-1 Fnatic's way.
Fnatic really starting to push that top lane out to its max potential. Dreamosel is starting to struggle here. The Ice is coming on to his own. He's level 5. You really just can't pressure a Timbersaw at this point. You should try to have Dreamosel go somewhere else. Maybe the jungle. There's just no presence here for the Monkey King any longer. They did not manage to find that early damage onto Ice to force him out. And you're at that point once more in the game. Fnatic 3-1, 1k lead. Ice taking over his lane. Savage not being pressured too hard. Where's the shakeup from Boom?
I don't see it yet. I mean, arguably the game is a little bit closer than it was last time, so there's that. Like, they are still finding more farm than last game, but it doesn't really change the outcome, I don't think, if they don't start to escalate a little bit. And Dreamers, he's actually just leaving the lane completely now.
Radiant's middle.
Where is he off to? We saw this before, where he kind of rotated around the map and didn't achieve anything, and well, yeah, he kind of walks away for a bit and comes back.
Just a lot of wasted time. He's not finding last hits, he's not finding creeps to soak off of, and much more efficient for him to just commit to the jungle. Instead, he's just standing around Ice. Ice just cops the tower hits, building up his stacks. Pressures Kescu.
Yeah, Kescu's trying to, you know, throw out Mind Spirits and be a bit of a nuisance that way, but Ice has just constantly got 18 reactive armor stacks on him. He's just healing through all the damage. And I mean, I don't blame Dreamers for not wanting to lane like this any longer. Looks like they are going to rotate Makoto down, who does have sanities, but you have no way of really stealing in. Well, Astral's going to be there, but what does that do? Ice, he might just fight back. Chakram's there now. You do have the Jingu Mastery propped on Dreamer's Soul Ice. Just going to go for the TP. Makoto has Astral, but doesn't have Vision. And you don't have a level in Tree Dance or Primal Spring, so you can't get the Vision too easily.
just a lot of wasted time from Boom. Ice going to be very happy to force that rotation out. He gets to live. You waste some time from that OD. That does give Moon a lot more space down mid. He does clear out that side camp on the Dire's side. So once more, Fnatic just finding everything they want to here so far. Boom. It is a bit of a slower pace. Like, they have slowed Fnatic down compared to game 1. But they're not finding the answers yet. They still need Dreamercell to find a lot more farm than he currently has. They still need to get a lot more EXP onto Kezcute and Mikoto before anything can happen here, and I don't know if they're going to get enough time, as Ice is really just taking over.
Yep, he certainly is. Net worth on the Timber at the moment.
Is under attack.
Taking all the creeps away from Boom. Anything. In fact, Fnatic's going to run a Boom down at the bot lane high. Going to fall low. FBZ will spear him away. You do now have the level 7 on Mars. He does have his ultimate up. It seems like Boom may need to make a quick rotation with that arena. But if you do that, you also leave Savage alone to free farm. So it's like you can't win either way.
And even then, like, you have the arena up, sure, but you don't have anything else. The Egg's not up, you do have the Santis Eclipse with only level 1 Arcane Orb, and, you know, you do have to rely on spamming out the Astrals. It's not the most consistent damage.
Well, bot lane Savage popped the battle trance but runs into the arena wall, but DJ is going to be there to avalanche, and he actually finds Hive. They will get the trade, so DJ does die, but they save Savage, and that's all he really wanted in the end anyway.
Just TPs away, starts farming up in a different lane. This should allow Boom to perhaps take the tower, so they can get an objective out of this at the very least. It's not a very fast push, but they miss out on the target they want. They miss out on the target they really need to pressure. Savage is going to be extremely happy with how that ends up.
Middle tower is under attack.
Mid lane, they are trying to force a push now. FBZ is going to be there to defend, but he doesn't have arena. And that should mean that this defense doesn't happen, but perhaps with just their presence alone. In fact, no, Mikoto, he comes in on the OD. That could be enough. The Fnatic, they will not test Boom in this mid lane any longer. They'll back off. Back to farming for them.
It's really just Fnatic's game to take slow. We saw it last time in game number 2. They just build up in Savage, he'll melt objectives later on. Moon does need a little bit more in the Storm before he comes online. And Ice is not leaving that top lane. So they're killing off one lane up top with just one hero. Everyone else is kind of reacting to what Boom's doing. They are saving Savage every time he's jumped, which is enough even if they trade DJ away. And Boom is just forcing these unfavorable situations. You're trying to go onto Ice, but again, he's just so tanky.
Yeah, you still don't really have the damage. I mean, it seems like you're going to need 5 heroes to even bother trying to take down this Timber Saw, and even then, I can't promise that it would actually work. Looks like this time around Ice, he's not going to bother going for the Hood of Defiance, but rather he is going to pick up the Yule Scepter.
Radiant.
I suppose that is just perfectly fine.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
You wouldn't mind seeing the pipe come out on the Timber this time, though. Like, especially pretty high value.
Yeah, it could boost your entire team's durability, but it really doesn't feel like they even rely on it. I just can't see Boom pumping that damage up. They have jabs anyway.
Kezcute getting caught out of the Phoenix with the Vortex, with the damage from DJ. It's more than enough before you can even think about Icarus diving.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Dreamercell is forcing in the bot lane as the Monkey King, but holy, he has 0 farm.
It's not
attack.
He's a 3.9. Doesn't have any major item, only has power treads. He is way behind compared to, say, Ice or Moon. Even Savage has a slight lead, not too far ahead, but all the other cores on Fnatic are definitely on top, so slow start. Okay, he had to lane against Ice, he had to walk around a lot. He still needs to play recovery.
This is literally a repeat, though. Like, Ice in the exact same position, really the exact same time as last game. The rest of his team kind of joins him for a bit to see the top lane. They can't, but they force Boom to rotate 5 heroes top, waste their time, and then go back to farming themselves.
Yeah, just Fnatic setting the pace. We talk about this every single time, but Boom Esports is just playing into Fnatic's playstyle. Right? They're trying to respond to Fnatic. They're not setting the pace by themselves here, Boom. It's a very reactive game for them so far, and that just means they're not going to find whatever they want. Fnatic is dictating the terms every single time. They will have to wait out some farm on their cores. At the very least, this time around, you do see Mikoto at number 1, right? So he has farm on the OD. He's saving up for the Ags upgrade on that Astral Imprisonment, extra damage, extra charge, and the damage areas do stack up, so you can really start pumping it out then, and Moon actually playing really forward.
He's level 11. You don't really have lockdown. Like, you've got Astral, but as soon as the Astral ends, he's just out. I just don't see how they even think about taking Moon out, unless you have like the Monkey King there with Boundless, but even that's quite doubtful. As FBC finds out that it's not fun when Ice is nearby, loses quite a bit of his HP from just one Whirling Death. And well, Ice is going to have that Yule Scepter up completed very, very soon.
That's just going to give him a lot more leeway to zip in and out. He already does kind of have that, like, issues Boom has with control are piling up. And this time does give Boom some period to farm up. You have to question, is that farm trade really worthwhile? Sure, Fnatic doesn't have a major lead. 2K, 15, 16 minutes in, not the biggest deal in the world. Boom does have a lot of leeway to really play catch-up, but they haven't been using their team fight potential yet.
Bot lane high, he gets jumped on by Moon, he will die. Fortune's End is mischief dodged, and Dream Missile will actually be okay. They won't chase him down, instead Dream Missile commits the Boundless Strike, but after that there is nothing. The Storm can just zip out for free, and Boom, they had a smoke as 3, but they're going to find absolutely 0 out of it, so instead they'll go down mid where they may find DJ on the Tiny. But even if they did, I don't think DJ would care.
Definitely not. This is just, again, strange movements from Boom. They're playing reactively. They have all the teamfight ults they could ask for, but they're just not able to set the pace, not able to dictate who they jump. They're going to try on Ice.
They could do it. He doesn't have the hood, so he's not as tanky. Egg dropped immediately with the arena, and yeah, he burns. But when they went for Ice, Dream Missile ended up dying at the bot lane. So it's still a great kill for Boom, but you don't want to lose your Monkey King as a trade for that Timbersaw.
It's still something for Boom, considering how far behind they are. They do manage to snag themselves a very important kill. Dreamocell is going to be lagging behind because he's not around for this. He's just died a bit too much. He's at 4.5k. That is a bigger gap now between him and Savage. They lose their tier 1 down bot. Boom is kind of setting up for something, but the objective is already gone, so there's really not much here to clean up. Mikoto does have the Aghanims now on the OD, so there's additional damage coming out, a lot more control. Perhaps this is really what Boom was waiting for.
Well, it seems like a nice spike. Oh, Ice. That wasn't the chains. That's not how that works. But making a smoke attempt, we do see the Phoenix picking one up. I think with the Ags you get a nice spike, right? You can start to make a play now. Still you can't kill Moon. You can kill other people. In fact, Ice does end up getting Astral. They have the speed set up with FBZ, and he does latch onto a tree quite nicely. And Ice, false promise, we save him as DJ. Runs in with the Avalanche and toss onto FBZ. Another Astral onto Ice, and he's not dying yet, but Makoto is surrounding. Savage is being dropped, and it is eventually going to be enough. Now Jabs also dies, and that's the kind of team fight Boom wanted. And they should be able to clean up the tier 1 mid because of it.
Definitely. That's exactly what Boom needs. They don't find the biggest targets. They do at least take Ice out. They should be able to take this mid tier 1. That's the bigger thing. It'll allow them a bit more control in that Radiant jungle, perhaps to hunt down our troll. They they still need to get the big team fights off. I think you'd want to see them kind of isolate Savage or Moon. This is the priority set of targets. They do have the Egg and Arena up while they have the Santies down, so it is still another window where they can take a fight.
So much pressure on Makoto this game to really pull the team through. It's like, when you look at Dream Assault, he still really has got nothing. Sitting very low in the net worth trap as well as Kescu. They do find DJ. So Arena block commit. Hype almost died in the process, but nice little support pick up on the Tiny. That'll make it a 7-6. Speaking of, how's Savage going? We haven't really talked about this troll warlord recently, but he hasn't died this game. He has 2 assists, and so far he's got the Sergeant Yashara.
Yeah, he's just waiting for his BKB, and then all of that control that Boom does have is pretty much negated, right? Like, they have nothing to pierce through that for the most part. So Savage should have a decently good time, maybe except for the Demonic Purge. That's really it. The Demonic Purge coming through. Beyond that, you're not seeing any control for that BKB troll. And that's when Savage really starts to kick it into gear.
Well, Fnatic, they're going to start setting up the mid-tier 1 tower, and there will be 0 defense from Boom. We already found the opposing tier 1, so it's just fine to take it. It looks like Boom's ready to set up FBZ. He does have the blink, ready to jump in and find a massive arena. You do also have the egg available. If you don't have the sanities, you still need another 18 seconds for that. I think once the sanities is up, they go for a smoke and they go for it straight away. Fair enough. It'll be up very, very soon. FBZ, blink, does jump on DJ, will commit the arena. They just want the easy tiny kill, they can grab it. Nothing wrong with that. Even FBZ, still chasing jabs. He won't be able to get the Oracle. But they take what they can get.
It's not the biggest target to lose for Fnatic, not the biggest target for Boom to take, but this is exactly what they need to keep doing. They need to dictate the pace of the game, even if it's just finding these support kills. Once they start to ravel Fnatic a bit, they can start to get a bit more leverage here. Savage is fairly far forward. If they can actually jump him, that could be a pretty darn good kill.
It is very true. He does have battle trance, but when you're alone, that means nothing. Will they predict he's in the tree line? They will not. Savage will be safe.
Radiant are scanning.
And in fact, Savage actually gets a scan off on FBZ. DJ's there on the Tiny, and they look to set up as Avalanche does connect. Toss is there and Moon. Zips in for a nice kill on the Mars.
You had
And this is that point where Boom may get their wishes granted and actually have a big team fight occur. It does feel like you really do need that Mars. Like, you can't just fight without it.
You need the arena up, you have all the other spells up and running, but you definitely need that arena. It's your main area control. Fnatic is setting up for the Roche. They do walk Savage in, is scanned out. So Boom is ready, they have their tools, they could actually fight this.
They're going to try and take the Roche on, but yeah, Boom, they definitely could take this fight. The question is, will they? Observer ward goes down, not as much vision here for Fnatic. A ball landing straight onto Hyde. They want that shot being gone, but nice astral to save from Makoto, and that Dream itself commits the work on it. Get onto DJ. Makoto trying to man fight, but he's been disarmed by that base edict, and now they do find the arena onto side, so they do get the timber. Egg does also explode. Boom. They should probably keep going here, but it's still very, very dangerous. Jabs will be the target. Makoto does a lot of damage, and he finds himself another kill, but now Savage, he's going up the impact. No, he gets put on FBZ on the Mars, who just holds his shield up, and with that astral, it looks like Savage will end up going down. That's a great team fight again for Boom Esports. And Fnatic just not able to control Makoto.
It looked a bit wonky at the start when they were forced to egg at the cliff, not really finding anyone in that AoE, and they missed the arena on Savage. In the end, they still find all the key kills they wanted. They stopped the Roshan from coming out. They saved the Santi's Eclipse, so Mikado still has a tool in case something else breaks out in this downtime. and they find some really big kills. So Boom definitely still has the potential to take fights to Fnatic. Definitely keeping it a bit better tied up here in game number 3. 4K advantage is still there for Fnatic. They still are ahead, and Boom is playing with fire.
Yeah, he hasn't got any mana. They do get the vision, but they can't get the disruption off. Had they caught him that would have been huge on the Storm.
Dreamo Cell?
Getting picked up. TPs are coming in, but it's too late. Ice has already done. He killed the Dakota. He does get the Astral off. I don't think it's going to be enough, but FBD, the spear might be. He does get speed to a tree, essentially. Ice copying a lot of damage, but another Astral to interrupt those chains. Chains the other way this time. Let's switch it up. More Astrals to come. Nice. Can't get away. Nice spear coming out. Hyde will be the one to secure the kill on the Shadow.
Again, a pretty decent kill for Boom, but Fnatic is going to be happy with keeping Dreamo Cell in check. He's still struggling on the Monkey King, by the way. 6.5k net worth, behind even his own Morris at 8k. Your Monkey King is just not ready to stand in these fights. He needs that BKB. I think with the BKB, he's at least ready to let off that Wukong's command in front of bigger targets beyond just DJ. And you're going to need his presence fairly soon. You know, you take a look at Savage, he's just the recipe away, which is about 100 gold for him. And then he's going to have that BKB on the Troll. That makes it a lot harder to control that hero. Again, you'll be relying on that demonic purge to hope that he's just going to be stuck in a very relatively small area compared to where he would be.
Yeah, that seems to be the answer Fnatic's waiting for. I mean, you look at Monkey King as the pos one, but I think we all agree that Kodo is the real carry right now. But we have to keep an eye out on. So I guess Dreamersoul's at that point now where he's just scouting for the team and putting Wukongs down. You know, just accepting death when it comes to it. Fnatic, they do smoke up. They want to go for a fight with this 10-second BKB charge on Savage. There's been a bit of time. They are going to go to hide and miss the avalanche, but it won't matter. It should be a kill, but no disruption comes out. Savage, he still wants to fight. It's moved now, jumps in. There is a silence there on the OD. That'll be due to the Orchid of Moon on that Storm. Arena, FBZ, he starts a team fight. Air going to be dropped immediately, but a nice toss out from DJ. I wasn't aware you could do that.
Yeah, that's, he was outside a pit. He can toss out. I didn't know that goes true.
Well, I guess you are tossing over the wall.
I suppose. One way to bypass that, and Fnatic does go back into the pit. That is a lot of big spells blown up by Boom. They are not aware the Roche is being taken. Just gonna go uncontested towards TNC. Towards Fnatic, sorry.
Immortality.
Fnatic, they get what they wanted. They give it to Moon instead of Savage. Moon, obviously, he's a much more farmed up hero right now on the side of Fnatic, and Aegis is really nice on the Storm Spirit, I gotta tell you, John.
Oh yeah. You just have so much more to give with its second life. You can play a lot riskier in these fights. And Moon hasn't died anyway, so he is worth a considerably good amount of gold if he does fall. This does give extra leeway to Fnatic for them to play around at. Boom now, once more, kind of pushed back. They're one of their last two tier 2s being pressured in. Not sure if Fnatic can fully commit for this. Still standing to use Eclipse on Mikado.
Mikado does get the Astral off. Savage does get out of it. And he's not scared. He'll go after that team too. Now Moon will jump in on the Phoenix. Get rid of that annoying support, but Kensku will survive. Do they want to keep fighting? It is dangerous. Boom say yes they do, but Ice will be able to chain away. Makota now, the Orchid has been committed, so perhaps they could find this. In fact, Arena is quite nice move. He will zip out. Ice somehow out of there as well. And False Promise will save the day to him for now. But he's going to be completely surrounded. Jabs still moving in his move. Goes after Hyde. Makota does pick up the Oracle kill, and Ice goes by, but Hyde does go with it now. 23 Savage commits the ulti. Dreamersoul is dead again on the Monkey King. FBZ tanking the rest of the Troll damage, and Savage, he needs to TP with that BKB. He doesn't get it, FBZ. What timing! sometimes you've got to try. And FBZ, I don't know if that was luck or if that was predicted, but that was very nice.
That just gives a lot more towards Boom. It did look a bit iffy at the start, you know, it didn't look like a very neat engagement coming out. That, you know, not really snagging anyone at the end, just a bit of a clip with that spear. But they find a couple of really big kills in exchange for losing their Monkey King. The lead is still towards Fnatic's side. They didn't manage to burn through that Aegis. The Fnatic still has a lot to play with, but Boom is definitely still in the game. You know, they're taking these fights quite nicely. They've got the kill advantage now. They can't quite transition to any big objectives just yet, but they are slowly building up. You know, the damage coming out from this OD from Mikado is starting to be considerably big. He's working towards his Hurricane pick next, just to give himself some added reach and protection. Once that's up, it should be much easier for Mikado to position himself.
Speaking of Mikado, ball starting in, does get the Astral on side, immediately to jump into the arena, but Moon, he's there to help out. He zips back up, they can go after Jazz on the Oracle, but he'll commit the false promise immediately. Now, where do we go? It's onto Hyde. Moon really wants to get rid of that support Shadow Demon, but Hyde, well, he should die. Egg has been dropped. Moon, he's falling very, very low, but they just can't quite finish the job. Meanwhile, FB's in huge trouble. Astral will be there to save. Savage had already committed his own BKB, but DJ comes in, he does clean up the bomb. Now Isaac Knight's back in with Boom. They're just dancing around the side of Boom. Battle Plants is there. Astral will kind of just wasted, and Savage is now having to farm creeps while this is happening, but eventually it does wear off. Wukong's finally comes out of Dreamersol, but it's all too late. Makoto goes down, and now Dreamersol will also lose his life. And Jabs, rightfully so, gives him the tip. And the Wukong's command, it just never came out till the last second. Like, I guess they just never found the right moment because the Arena of Blood was kind of misplayed. But you've got to throw it out if you're going to fight.
It's way too much going wrong there for Boom. Fnatic managing to dance around everything they could throw out. We saw a lot of hesitation from Mikado to throw out that Santis Eclipse. Never came out. He held on to it for a very long time, so they don't really manage to burst anyone beyond Jabs. I mean, Fnatic is just going to go into those tier 3s. They still have, well, a lot of charges onto Moon. This should be a fairly easy take onto this tier 3. At least when the respawns come out, Santis and Arena is up.
Mid-rats, give it away off Fnatic. This Boom side is nothing without Makoto up. They are going to try and chase for the troll, but Savage is perfectly safe. Jabs will ensure that is the case. 14k net worth league now, it's just going up and up.
Where's the party? Touche!
Because Boom are nowhere near out of this by any stretch of the imagination, but it seems as though they really can't have a split fight like that. Like, Makoto needs to be protected, and he needs everyone to kind of be just stuck together.
They need to be able to drop all of their spells at once on a big target. Fnatic has been very good with declumping though, so it's been hard for them to find the ideal Arena, the ideal egg, and the ideal Wukong's command this entire game. Just a lot of discipline from Fnatic to not clump up. So Boom just can't get an opportunity. They're also still waiting for Dreamwhistle to finish a BKB. We're at 32 minutes in, and this Monkey King only has Diffusal and a Mithril Hammer. So that still has to come out from our Monkey.
Yeah, that isn't good. I just don't think you consider the Monkey King a carry. Like, he's a core, but it's all Makoto. Like,
oh yeah, he's the damage dealer. Definitely not the Monkey. You would need the Wukong's command with the Arena though. You need a lot more. You need all those spells to land. And for that to happen, the Monkey needs the BKB. So this needs to come out faster from Dreamo. And they are trying to give him the space. It's just Fnatic has been much better with their farming patterns. Savage, 15k net worth, has a basher up. So that BKB is not going to save you anymore. Not every single time. And that does cause some concern for Boom, right? Like, they've already got a bit of a way to dance around what Boom Esports has. Fnatic does smoke up. They're going to try to find something.
get going. Top lane. Oh, Dreamer Soul. Get silenced. Moon found him. I mean, look, they were smoked to be fair. He had no vision. He's trying to find as much farm as he possibly can on this Monkey King, but when you have a Storm that's had a free game the whole time and is top their worth board by this much, it's just so hard on the Monkey King to come back.
Yeah, definitely. It's just he had an okay time in the laning phase. It kind of fell apart afterwards when Ice pushed it out. Didn't have any room to farm in. Boom has got to. They've got to get a lot more out of this map right now. They have Mikado, who's pretty strong. I'd say try to do something with that.
FBZ gets a spear, but the Astral comes out at the same time, and Ice will be unaffected. You do also have the Heaven's Halberd up on the timber, which makes life a little bit harder for Mikado. And who are they diving?
Is under attack.
They're just securing bounties. They're not giving anything away to Burn. Not even a bounty room.
No. Just completely locking out the map here from Boom. And the opportunities for Boom to get this fight out are shrinking. You have the Ags up on Moon, so he can just basically beat a team fight for the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, Boom have smoked up at the exact time he got the Ags to make matters worse as FBZ. He's going to run in. He doesn't have Blink available. It's on cooldown. He'll pop his BKB, he gets the arena, but Savage pops his own BKB, and now Moon comes in with the Vortex. Egg is ticking away, so you need to leave the area, and they will. Moon, I don't think he can fight too much longer as his Bloodstone, well, his mana is very low, but he's actually healing up quite fast, and he has an Arcane Rune active now to make matters worse for Boom. So they look like they are going to go back in. Zip, Makoto is going to be the target. Spear is going to stop him from a little bit. Moon forward low, but will walk away now. Dreamer Soul does put the Wukong's out, but they walk out of it. Ice gets Astral up. Moon again with the Vortex, trying to set up on the main man. They want the OD. That's all they really do want. He does finally pop his BKB charge, and Astral will be there to ensure Savage can't keep up. They just aren't able to find an opening.
Yeah, this Ags is causing so many issues. Moon just zips in, gets the Vortex off, zips out, and you're forced to pop your BKB. Like Mikado down to 8 seconds on his charge now. So you haven't been able to really use that in the big team fights you'd want. Haven't been successful in that arena drop. The egg follow-up was nice, but they did just manage to walk out of that area. Fnatic does take this opportunity to reset, go back into the Roche pit, uncontested. Aegis and Cheese going to be going their way. Going to have to play the high ground defense and try to kill 2 heroes twice over, basically.
The thing is, like, if you could stop the Storm, like, if you had some way to keep the Storm down throughout the team fight, it feels like Boom would have everything they could ask for. Like, everybody else they can kind of deal with. But when the Storm's zipping constantly across the fight, taking out your supports, vortexing everybody, forcing BKBs, there's just no way to take the fight for Boom. Like, it just feels impossible. And now, to make matters worse, Savage has the full Abyssal Blade.
You can just focus any single hero down, just walk up to them, and just keep them in their place, burst them down. Boom has to get their initiation perfect. And that's such a tall order. Like, this team fight has a lot of potential, but Fnatic has been so disciplined to be really split up, to not give that opportunity away, and just slowly but surely whittling this map away. Like, there's one tier 2 left for Boom. Doesn't matter. They can't dip out to that bot jungle. They've got wards there, but they still can't take control on their own side of the map. They're having to play catch-up farm this way. Now, they do have the BKB and Dreamo Cell. This should allow him to have a little bit more presence.
Mikado, Astral. Savage, unaffected. And now moves once again with the Vortex straight on the OD, and the Abyssal comes out. They can't take him out as he does get Vindicate. Meanwhile, on the back, there was an arena on DJ, but no follow-up to it. Dreamersaw trying to man-fight up against Movement. He just ball lightnings away once again. Now zips back in. Dreamersaw, he's falling very, very low. Moon wants to take him out. They do disrupt him up, but now Mikoto's in trouble. The OD commits all his actions as Moon, controlling the rest of the side of Boom. enough. They go back to that T2 bot tower.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
An immediate smoke. They're not backing off yet. They've still got time on the Aegis. Ice, going straight forward, speed, but Astral at the same time again. That's not what you want.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Savage, gonna force the fortify. FBZ, all he can do is spear him back. Ice now getting confident to jump in. DJ misses the toss on the Mars. They will Astral anyway. Meanwhile, Moon again on the Phoenix. FBZ forced the BKB up just in case. Savage, trapped up a little bit. Abyssal blades up. He doesn't have trance yet. It's in 10 seconds. He'll just BKB and walk out of there. He has Aegis anyway. In fact, they're going to jump back in now. They get a toss onto FBZ, and that's the Mars dead. No buyback available on that Mars. Moon again jumping in onto the Phoenix. They will astronaut move, but it means nothing. The Rax is going down regardless. That DJ, Avalanche toss. The Phoenix falls very, very low. He will survive for now. DJ falling low, but False Promise will save him from jabs. He'll be fine.
Fnatic, again, just managing to find objectives, force the buybacks. They don't even expend any of their tools from the Roshan. They still have that Aegis up and running. I think they did eat the cheese, but it doesn't really matter, right? You've still got the Aegis on Savage. That will allow him to play much more aggressively. And Boom just does not have the answer. This is the high ground defense. This is where all their spells shine in the tight area. It's not doing it.
There's a long timber range from Ice. And they have got Ketsu. That's a dive back. High also going down. He buys back immediately. DJ falling low. He does go down to the Proto, but now Savage is on top of him. Not really getting lucky with bashes, but he pops his battle trance, he's reading himself. He's a much easier to kill right now on that Monster King. He does get bashed. He has buyback available, does commit it, and now the arena comes down. They may at least find one, and they do take out the sword. They finally get it, and now Savage, he'll lose the Aegis, but Rune has pulled back and is TPing to the outpost in the dire jungle. Savage, he needs help. He doesn't have the trance. They do find the kill. Moon, the buyback was wasted essentially, unless he jumps back in. He may need to, his jabs is going to start falling low, but Ice at least gets out of there, and looks like Jabs will also do the same. And so Boom do hold. They do get the buyback off the storm. That was, I believe, the first death of Moon. Yeah, it was. He was 11-0 before that death happens. Thank you for the other casters for pointing out. 59 sold in right now on Makoto.
Yeah, 59 buffs on Makoto, and he doesn't drop the Sandkeys. Doesn't drop the Sandkeys. 2 kills there on Ice and the Oracle, and he doesn't. Have been enough. That's a lot of damage that he could pump out. He's been holding on to that Sandkeys for a very long time. Now, on the upside, that means it'll be available in the next fight. I don't know how soon Boom wants to take that next fight, though. That is a bit of a tall order. I think the kills they wanted, they are staying in this game. They pretty much basically 2 racks behind, 20k 8 net worth behind as well. They've got to play the next few fights perfectly. They've got to get the targets they want. And Fnatic are still in a great spot. Like, even if they drop those heroes, even if they had to buy back, they still have a 28k advantage. They still have a heck of a lot of Bloodstone charges onto Moon. It's still a big issue.
Here I am.
For mid lane, FBZ will be okay. You do get the timeless relic out now on Makoto on the OD, so he does have some very nice skill out. Plus 15%, but like you said, he kind of needs to drop the sanities for that to matter, but that's a big item. Prince's Knife was found by Kescu. Instant Hex on the Storm, that could be exactly what they're looking for.
Scanning.
Yeah, they just need to get the right jump in. They need to be the ones to take the fight to Fnatic. Don't get caught out by Fnatic. They're on the back foot. They're just 1 racks away from mega creeps, basically. There's still range racks down bot. That should be very easy to clean up. said and done,
Dire's top barracks are under
Fnatic
attack.
still have control on the map. They're the ones going around just fine. They're the ones clearing out the waves, clearing out the camps, building up slowly but surely still. So, Boom have got to still be cautious, but they have managed to buy themselves some time. And Mikado is a very big hero. Like, you know, that is pretty darn nice.
Oh, top lane, gets cute. You can't afford to die like that. Not right now, you can't. Still has about 2 minutes 20 seconds on the buyback cooldown. But it seems as though Fnatic aren't really willing to push yet, so it's not going to matter. Who's holding the Princess Knife?
It's on Mikado. Well, no, a while ago it was, but...
Oh, it's on FBZ now. Okay. I mean, that makes enough sense. It allows them to set up with the spear a lot easier.
Stupendous!
Still, it feels like it's going to be a little bit hard for him to connect with the Storm.
It's not an easy thing. I mean, he is a melee hero, so it is a bit of a crapshoot, right? Like, if you can hit the Storm that fast, you probably could land your spear in the arena as well. That's definitely a possibility. But Fnatic, with the control they have, dip into the Roche once more. That is the refresh shard on him as well. You have a lot of options for who to get that. I'm not sure who they'd want it on. Maybe Savage for two uses of Battle Trance, but I think Oracle would be much better off. Jabs with 2 False Promises sounds pretty potent.
Well, for now, Savage will
They
take
did want to go that route.
I love the itemization here from Makoto. It looks like he's gone for a side device, and I think he's got the full item. He does. That's a game changer. Nobody in the map right now has buyback gold either. Fnatic won't go for the fight anyway, but if they wanted to make some kind of smoke rotation and surprise reveal that side, could change the whole way this game is going. DJ, meanwhile, has an ethereal blade up. Don't know where the hell we come that though. And a BKB, yeah.
A fresh BKB as well. You have a Satanic and Savage, so he can do a lot more in these fights. Ooh.
Missed the spear. Princess Knife already used up. Moon jumps in. Side device is going to be there. Makoto, he goes for the Astral first. Gets the side device with the balance. Moon about to dive. A false promise will be there, and Savage jumps in. They got the arena on the storm, though. This may be enough to actually burst him down through that false promise. He zips away. He zips back in, but it looks like his Aegis is going to expire. Nevertheless, he has a secondary life. He can go again. They don't have time with Shadow Demon. He did die. Now FBZ. A nice spear on the Savage. Where's the damage, however? They've ethereal bladed up this OD, and now they get hexed. The OD goes down the Kodo. He didn't have buyback. This could be the end of the game. His Dreamsoul also goes down. The GG has been called. And Fnatic, they just played this series way too well. And they do manage to pick it up 2-1.
Yeah, just really well played from Fnatic, turning it around in Game 2 and in the third game as well, just dominating from Game 2. Game 3, a bit more even from Boom. There were moments where they looked pretty darn good, just didn't get enough. They were still bleeding out too much in that early game, and Fnatic did just set the pace. Savage on his troll just